Hello, hello. So, another episode of the MBG Chats podcast, which is a spin off of the Mastering Business Growth podcast. And today I'm joined by Jade Jay. I went really slow then. Jade Jay, not JJ, Jade Jay. And Jade is the founder of Jaycee Creative, a brand strategist and creator. But I'm not gonna butcher the intro for you, Jade. I'm gonna let you do it. So, without further ado, stage is yours. Go for it.
Hello, my name is Jade and I am the owner of Jaycee Creative. So I do branding, websites, and all things graphic design. I have been in business just over 10 years now after leaving a studio in central London, which was an amazing start to my career. But I always knew I wanted to be a business owner. Like I imagine most of you watching this did as well. Like it's the only career that is just yeah, never go back to anything other than owning my own business. It's just the best. It's stressful, but also the best. I'm sure you agree, Paul. It's like there's lots of ups and downs, but it's the best, isn't it? So yeah, so that's the intro into my business and what I do.
Amazing. I mean, other than working with my businesses, which we'll probably maybe get into, but you've done brands for God knows how many businesses now. There's probably hundreds of them out there with your branding and your work attached to it. Uh, I imagine over 10 years, you've done quite a few brand packages, refreshes, and things. How many would you say you've worked with over 10 years?
Done over 100, you know. Like someone asked me this actually a few months ago, and I went through my kind of like Dropbox to have a look, but then there's loads on there that aren't actually like saved in there because of like before the time that I turned to Jaycee Creative, I was going under my own name. I was going under my born name. I can't remember the words. Jade Carr as a freelancer. So I did loads of brands through different studios and different like contacts before I actually turned into a standalone studio. So I think it's going to have to be around like 100 of them.
Crazy.
Yeah, which is
That's
great, which is
insane.
mental, but yeah, it's great fun.
Where did you start out then? Obviously, we know that you were at a studio in London, but before that, like what was have you always been in graphic design? Have you always had an aptitude
Yeah.
for design and brand, or did you come from another industry? Like what was the beginnings of J?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to be a graphic designer from year nine,
Oh
which
my
I know
God.
is very rare for people to know what they want to do that early on. But I had really good teachers, and I knew I wanted to be in the creative world. And everyone was like, artists make no money, you can't do art. Like it's really difficult. And it's like, okay, well, what else can we do then if we want to be creative? And I didn't want to teach, so I was like, and then when I went into GCSE, I had a really good graphic design teacher who told me all about that industry and that path basically. So after school, I went and did a graphic design BTEC with, and again, I've had really good tutors and teachers my whole career, like my whole education. Like I've been pretty blessed with that. So I did that, graduated that, and then I went to UCLan where I did a degree in graphic design. Graduated with a first class honours in graphic design. Thank you. And I went straight to London to work for Next Big Thing Creative, which was great fun. Yeah, so good. Just being in London at like 22, just like living the dream basically. We did brands for, gosh, we had such good clients. We did like Cheese Grater, Lenhall Building, branding for that. We did Battersea Power Station. We did UFC. We did stuff for like Nike, ITV. We had some amazing like jobs there, and they still do. They're still doing very well, that studio.
Amazing.
But after 2.5 years, I decided I wanted to move back up north and start my own business. So that was all triggered because I met a boy um,
The
who
downfall.
who 100% would not survive in central London. So I met a Lancashire boy and I moved up north to be with him, and yeah, now we're married. It went well. We're all good. I'm 10 years into business, so great decision. Great, like yes, yeah, so that's how I've got to this point now. Yeah.
Amazing. I think it I think it's important to highlight there like just how important those teachers were to
Yes.
you because like I know in my life as well like teachers were incredibly they were incredibly pivotal and important to me in terms of how they helped shape me as well. Like, so, and I think we just don't want to underestimate the power of teachers in school right now, because I think they're the ones that they almost hold the power a little bit in shaping young people, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Well, when I was actually picking the GCSEs that I was going to do, I got told that I wasn't allowed to do graphic design and art and design together because they felt the workload would be too much. But I have a pretty strong mum who went into school and was like, no, she can do this, we're doing it. So I did that, and that was great because I got to learn about obviously like the fine art side and history and the graphic design side, which has merged together. And then I had Mr. Tatlock. I'll shout him out. He'll be retired now, but he was my graphic design teacher for GCSE that just shaped everything really. And then when I went into college, they were just brilliant there as well. So yeah, definitely gave me the confidence and told me that I could make a good career out of that. Do you know what I mean? So even though I loved it, it's nice to know that you could be successful in it. I've also got very supportive parents as well who like helped me along the way to find really good courses, helped me to decide to go for BTEC instead of doing A levels, that kind of things. That was definitely a pro as well.
I think that's really important
Yeah.
to unpack there, though. It's like, that was because I think there's a lot of people out there that maybe go into entrepreneurship unsupported,
Mm.
or they leave their passions at school because they were told to go and get a proper job, or and I know from reading, just sort of me chipping on this a little bit, but like me reading people like Ken Robinson, who has worked in the education sector, and he talks a lot about creativity. Unfortunately, he's passed now, but he talks a lot about creativity and how that actually gets knocked out of you at school for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to berate schools, but I think schools can be an incredibly powerful place. But the current system that we're in at the moment just seems to be driving creativity out of kids.
Oh yeah, even when I was in school though, like academic ruled. Like it was very hard to be kind of taken seriously that you were going to go into a creative field. And by creative field, I mean drama as well. And like
Yeah, that was it for me. Like, I wanted to do drama, and yeah,
yeah, it was kind of considered as like not as good as like going into an academic side of things, but you can make a very successful career, which a lot of people have, obviously, in acting and creatives and graphics and artists. If you've got the passion and the talent, you're gonna make it. But it's very much said to us that it isn't as important, and the funding is like next to nothing as well. Sport
well,
as well, to be fair, funding was very low back when I was in school for that kind of thing.
same, yeah.
So yeah, it was very much pushing academic. So like I was saying, like when they were saying that I couldn't do graphics and art together, they were like trying to push geography, and I was like, why? Like I'm not going to do well in that. Like why would I do that? But yeah, I actually ended up taking business studies, which was ideal for now, and I took sport as well. So I went completely off. Like I'm no academic really on that
But
side. The ones you have to do.
yeah, this is the thing though, is like, I think it's quite important, like the general hierarchy of subjects at school, the arts and sport generally, well, I'm going to leave sport to the side for a second, but like generally with creative and the arts specifically, like they seem to be at the bottom of the pecking order, and people will either take those subjects either because they're super passionate about them, or because they want to maybe dick around. And it's like, there's not really anything in between. When we're actually, if I was in charge of a school, I'd be making everybody do drama. I'd be making everybody do a bit of music. I'd be making everybody do a little bit of, and I say making as if it's like sort of autocratic, but like
True.
I don't mean it like that. I mean, I think because it's generally good for the soul. Like, I think it's generally good for you to develop confidence, be able to express yourself and be able to do those things. Like, everybody can draw. I can't remember if it was Van Gogh or Picasso that had that famous quote about, just a napkin drawing that he did, and someone wanted to buy it, and he was just like,
Yeah.
everyone can draw. It's just whether you carry on like that. But coming back to you and your business then. So obviously you work quite predominantly with small businesses or like businesses of a certain size who are maybe looking for, that sort of brand refresh, or they're looking from a brand from the start. I'm going to ask you the ultimate question here. What makes a good brand?
Consistency.
Oh, that was quick. That was
Yeah, so
quick.
it's because it is where most brands fail, like
Right.
straight away, from having websites that look completely different from their social vibe, that looks completely different from like how they are as a person. Yeah, how they present. A brand is how you present yourself as well. And I feel like people don't realize that someone's coming. So if someone comes to your socials and they like you and they look at all the stuff you're doing and you've got your brand implemented everywhere and you're chatting and all of that, and then they go to your website and it's a completely different vibe, they're gonna start to question your authenticity and like, are you actually who you say you are? Because this, like, they don't merge at all. I won't name any names, but I've actually on a brand that I did last week, I finished last week, when I was doing research, I came across a social media that was really bubbly. It was like pink. It was like doing very well. It was very feminine. And then as soon as you went on the website, it was mega corporate. It was navy blue. It was like it's like fake. It's like, let's get you in by saying we're all like this, but then actually we're really corporate and that's how we act.
It's usually the other way around, right?
Yes, it is. But it just depends who you're trying to target.
Mm.
But yeah, knowing your target audience is another very important thing as well, because it just shapes everything to do with your brand, from visuals to tone of voice to how you present yourself to where you show up and all of that good stuff.
Well,
So yeah.
there's a couple of things there that I kind of want to touch on then, because, well, firstly, I like the way that you did. I like the way that you answered that first and foremost. You didn't go straight to tangibles. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't go straight to like, oh, a good color palette or a good this or a good that. You went to something that is actually quite discipline led,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was really interesting. And the second thing that I thought that I want to kind of touch on there is the idea that it's the ideal customer, like knowing your ideal customer, like so. And the question I want to sort of ask on the spin-off from that is like, who are you creating a brand for? Is it you or is it
Me
your audience?
or people
Well,
or
who
in
sh
general.
I don't want to use the word should, because that implies that there's one way of doing things. But like, in your opinion, who should you be creating a brand for? Like, say I'm a customer who doesn't know anything about brand, and I go, Jade, like, who do I create a brand for? Do I create it for me or for my audience?
It's going to be firstly, it's for your audience, isn't it? Because that's who's going to be connecting with it. That's who's going to be paying you. That's how a business is successful. You need clients and customers. Like, that's just like the bottom line, really. But I am a true believer in that you have to love your own brand. Like, you're never going to use it if you don't. Like,
Mm.
people, I can see it all the time. Like, if they're embarrassed to use it, even if you've got a good brand, but you just say your brand is, I don't know, blue, and it's very good. Like, your audience is connecting, but you hate blue, you're just not going to use it. Like, there's more than one way to connect to your audience. So there would always be another way that we can find that allows your audience to connect with you and be happy to buy and sell and work with you, that you are also going to be invested in and love. Like, there's
Mm.
always more than one way to do things. And the other thing that I think that people, slightly to the side, I think, of this question, that people always get a bit confused about, is that your target audience isn't just a gender or an age.
Mm.
It's their vibe. It's who they are. It's what they like, where they're hanging out, what connects you to them. Not just like, so everybody, I don't know, all females 35 years old aren't going to connect to me. Do you know what I mean? That's not a target audience at all. They're not going to. I don't feel like that is what you should base your brand on. There is so much more depth involved with it.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, because like, I'm a customer, I'm a client, and it's, I'm not a 35-year-old woman. And
No.
that's the other thing. I mean, I might be effeminate sometimes, but like, I'm not a 35-year-old woman. But because there's something about your brand that attracted us and our businesses, and I think it was the consistency, actually. If I'm speaking as a sort of like from
Good.
a testimonial point of view. It's
Yeah.
consistency, and we know that there's good value in the work. We know that there's a good process. And I think that's the other thing as well, is like, I don't think a lot of people really understand that brand is a process. And I think everything actually that requires a decent objective has a process. What's your process when it comes to generating a brand? Like, do you have, I mean, I don't really want to bring it down to simple, like a very simple sort of, well, I do five P's or whatever, like, but what's your process to like generating a brand for a client?
Yeah. So I've recently created a new service called Brandcamp where I have implemented everything that I have learned like over the whole like 10 year, well, 12 and a half if you include my before business one, over my whole career, of like what I think people need, like exactly what they need basically. So the way I do this is we have a discovery call where I get to know you and see if you want to work with me and all of that, like introduction. And then when we get into it, I create you 2 creative directions, because I always think, even though there is usually one of those creative directions that I am really sure you're going to pick, and like that's the one I would pick, which usually happens, which is good. I always think it's good to show another option just to eliminate any what ifs,
Yeah.
just to show you like, yeah, I'm not telling you this is the way you should do it. I'm like, there's this option. I can make both work, always make both work, but I'll show you one and then I'll show you another one. So you have something to compare against. Because then you're not thinking, oh, what if the color palette was like muted instead of bright? You know what I mean? Like, as long as it aligns to the target audience, it both are always aligned to the target audience, so they will always work. But it's to show you the 2 different ways, because there's always more than one way to do something. So we do that. I write out a strategy. So I go through your vision, mission. If your brand was a person, its personality, who you're targeting. I go through all of that strategy. There's obviously more involved than this, but this on the surface level, I do all of this and then we discuss that. You pick a route, then I create your brand, and then we discuss that, and then we implement it. And then at the end, you get a full brand guidelines, you get video explaining what your folder's about, so there's no confusion, and all of your brand assets, and then off you go, basically. And then, yeah, there's lots of like add-ons if you need anything else in the future, but that's the way that I structure it out. I keep communication pretty open. Like I always say, if you think of anything, just email me. It's absolutely fine. And yeah, that's the way I do. But I always start with learning the person, learning the business. I have like a questionnaire. We have meetings. We do the strategy, creative direction, and then I go into creative.
It sounds like that's where the majority of the work lies, is in that
Yeah,
discovery process, because
yeah,
it's a brand, like, as we've kind of alluded to, is like it can be quite personal, and it requires consistency, and it requires that person or people within the company to live and breathe that brand. So it's, this is just the beginning journey, isn't it? Like the beginning of the journey. Now you've got to go and live it and use it and utilize that brand.
yeah.
Have you had many people that just kind of get that and then like don't use it? I don't mean it like in terms of because they don't like the work, but they get it, they love it, but then they just don't. Do you ever see it in the ether where people, you go, you should have been using that so much more?
What? They usually implement it like on socials or like website, which I also do, unless they like have someone else who does it. But I do offer that as well. Like I do website to go with it, which is also very important to have, because you need more than social media to be successful, I believe. But yeah, some do, because they get busy. Some people get busy, but the thing with brands is, if all of their, like I said before, if all of their touch points have the brand, like their LinkedIn profile, for example, has the profile picture, has the banner, their Instagram is all set up with the brand, their website is all set up with the brand. If they do go through a time when they just literally are so busy they can't post on socials, or they're like all of that, at least if someone comes to them, they are ready. Like that client can see that everything is aligned, so they know that they're legit, even if they might have been like so busy over the past month and just didn't have a second, because it happens. Like you get ill, you go on holiday, like things happen. It's there working for them without them having to do anything, like the initial bit. But obviously, to grow a business, you have to be active and you have to be networking, you have to be posting on socials. we all know that, really. But it's there. It's like the baseline is there for them, so they're not stressing about it. Like if someone messages them like, I'm interested, they can just fire the website link over, and they know that everything aligns, services are ready, they're all good. So it's a big weight off people's shoulders knowing that everything is.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about businesses as entities here. Like we're talking them as like, but what about the people? Like, what about individuals? Like, maybe even like businesses like yourself, where it's maybe predominantly just you, or, because more and more businesses are going to be created where there's going to be one or just a couple of people, where the individual or the two, three people who are running the business, they are the business in a way. Like, how much does that kind of lay over and spill over into their personal branding? Because a lot of people, there is a big boom in personal branding. We know that, we've seen that, and it's been happening for a number of years now. But I feel like the lines are incredibly blurred. Like, we know the importance of a personal brand, we know the importance of a company brand, and we also know the importance of a product brand as well, which is important to know. But how do we unify them? How do we stop them from spilling over, or should they be spilling over into one another? Should we have that through line through all of it?
So I've actually just, my last client, she's got a very strong personal brand, and she was starting up a business where she was going to hire people through, but she didn't want to necessarily be the face of that business because there's going to be employees and you might not be dealing with her. She doesn't want to give the illusion of you're going to sign up and she's going to be the one speaking to you. But we did it so that her personal brand and her new business, if you landed on her personal brand then went to her business, you'd be like, yeah, that's her.
Ah, right, okay.
It connected. They have their own elements, like her personal brand she's built up over years on her own, but she uses certain color palettes. So the business that I branded for her, which will be launched soon, had complementary colors, and the vibe is the same. So like she does a lot of talking heads and that, so if you were like listening to her and saw her and went to that business, you'd be like, that's 100% her brand. So I feel like it needs to have some sort of connection like that, especially that personal branding is so powerful. Like, we buy from people, don't we? Not businesses, really. So people are connecting to you. They want an extension of you. So I think it's pretty important to have them aligned. Like, I'm the face of my business. And I feel like if you went on my socials, speak to me like this on my website, you would be like, yeah, that's the same person. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I genuinely do think that as well.
Really important. Same with yours as well. Like, when I was creating your brand, I feel like your brand is so you and Carl. Like, it's obvious that it's your thing.
Juvenile and ridiculous.
It's just fun, isn't it? We had a little bit of quirkiness. It's good. No, it's just, yeah. I just feel like you can't have it completely different unless like you want to completely disconnect yourself from it.
Hmm.
So if I started a business that I didn't want my face to be on and it was completely different, then you wouldn't have to take it into consideration as much. But because I feel like personal branding is so powerful and it leads sales to businesses, it would be missing a bit of a trick not having them connect. Yeah, because personal branding is so popular and strong.
It's it's still a bit of an enigma for a lot of people though, like personal branding, and you know, I think there's still a lot to work out with it in terms of, I mean, some people say that it's just your reputation at scale, or it's just your reputation in the digital realm or whatever, but or it's what people say about you when you're not in the room, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. There's the non-tangible thing, but coming to you as a designer and as a brand designer specifically, what can individuals potentially be doing to make sure, like, and I'm asking as it's a completely selfish question, but like, as individuals who might have multiple business interests, like how do you get to connect all of those things? Like, in terms of, should you be doing something from a brand design point of view, or is it literally just the words that you speak, your reputation, in your opinion?
I feel like if you want all those businesses to come under an umbrella and connect as like for example, with yours, so you've got your overarching growth guys, then you've got the podcast, then you've got a few other businesses. If you wanted them to all be like recognized as the growth guys, that should probably have a similar design vibe. But I feel like all your businesses anyway have a very similar style.
Right. So
I did
style
them.
comes.
It's the same style, but they stand alone. But I don't think anyone would go to a social pitch and be like, "That's not yours." Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't
Right.
think they would be shocked if they were like, "Yeah, that's mine," and then they'd see your brand and be like, "Yeah, that's the same vibe." Like, I would definitely put them together like that. It really depends on what you're trying to achieve with it. If you want loads of individual businesses that nobody knows are connected, then completely different brands are all good, completely different target audiences, completely different businesses. They can all have their own
I mean,
brands.
yeah, I'm thinking about other people out there as well, though, that have multiple business interests, but not really interested in the personal branding idea. That of being, potentially someone who's maybe they just don't want to be putting their face out there. They don't want to be, whatever, but they might have multiple business interests, and it's then like how would they want them connected, or it's not always necessary to connect them, but if someone was to get a feel for it. And I think you might have answered my question before, actually, when you were talking about style.
Mhm.
Like, there might be a similar style. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same color palette, or it doesn't have to be the same sort of like graphic style as such, but there can be a style, a
Yeah,
taste, that is kind of consistent throughout.
yeah, definitely. And also, if you don't feel comfortable putting your face on the front of your brand, then you don't have to. I mean, studies show that it is the businesses that do are more successful because people do buy from people. If you really don't want to do it and you do one here and there and it's not consistent, then it's probably better off just not. Like,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
in or not with it. But if that's the case, if you're not wanting to put your face on it, like doing, reels where you're chatting away and all of that, you don't have to. But I would definitely recommend, if you're not doing that, to have a consistent design style going on. So use your color palettes, use your tone of voice, like really like go hard on all of that instead for like your socials and advertising. I think that you should do that anyway, even if your face is on your business. But it's like, I think it is important to make sure that people know that this is your the business. Do you know? Because if people like are used to seeing my content, they're used to my face. So if my face is on it, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's Jade." Do you know what I mean? But if you've not got a face on it, you need to have something consistent. I think people underestimate the power of a color palette as well.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people are like, "Logo, I want a logo." But there's like, you could recognize so many of these massive famous brands just based off their color palette.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
don't even need a logo on some of them because they're so powerful now. The color palette is very important, and I do think that it's something that people don't actually realize. So emotive as well. So people have an emotion immediately to a color. So yeah,
That's
and
so true.
recognizing all of that. So all the elements come together to create the strong brands.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're so right in what you're saying. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. And it's a big bloody elephant, to be fair. AI
Okay. Yeah.
with brand. Like, there's so much that is possible with AI.
Mhm.
Where do you stand as a brand designer, someone who has learnt the craft of graphic design, you know, understanding how elements go together, understanding the complementary colors to make a palette, understanding how color evokes emotion, all of those things. And now there's this blimming big whopping elephant of a tool that
Yeah.
can do it in seconds. Where are you? I mean, I have my own thoughts on AI, but I'd love to hear yours from a brand design point of view. Like, where are you sitting on which side of the fence are you? How are you using it? How do you think other people should be using it? That's a big question, but go.
Yeah. I have quite a few different points on it. So I think the first one is, people say that they can create a brand in seconds with it, but if you don't have any knowledge of how to brand and what you need and where you need to show up, you're not really going to create anything of any good, and that's any good. Like, for example, if I was to spend hours on AI creating a brand, it would probably come out pretty decent because I have the background knowledge and I know what I'm looking for. But if you're just like you have no, say for example, you have no knowledge of it, you're not creative at all, you're just putting in words of things you like and brands you like. So you're either going to get a copy of someone else's brand, or you're going to get a brand that you really like and is just 100% you, but your clients might not want. Like, it might not connect to them. So there's that. Secondly, I think brand designers and the creative world, the people who aren't learning it or even attempting to acknowledge that it exists are going to fall away as the years go on, because it's only going to get better. Like, I don't think it's going anywhere.
That's a bit of a mic drop moment. Do you want to
Well,
leave now?
I just feel like it's not going anywhere. And I feel like if you're pretending it doesn't exist, I think it's a bit detrimental, to be honest. I'm not saying it's going to take over completely. It will in some industries, I'm sure, but I just feel like you need to acknowledge that it exists. Like, thirdly, I don't think it should be used to create a brand, but I think it's a very good assistant. So I use it not to create a brand, but I use it to show what I mean quickly to someone. So for concept work, like, this is the vibe, this is what it could look like. Not the actual design, I mean like the vibe of it. And also I would use it for mock-ups. So basically just a great way to uniquely show people, imagine your logo in an office and it's like, there it is. Because,
Yeah, and you can
like,
get a really
that's
good
what I
mock-up
use
as
it
well,
for.
can't you? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I use it for mainly, because originally that there's always been mock-ups. Like, designers, we've always had mock-ups, like, to put logos and branding on to show clients, but now we can like really tailor it to your exact vibe. Like, it's hard to find images that you really want, so you just make them now. But yeah, and then you put the brand on, and then the client understands, because a lot of people aren't visual. So if I was to show them the presentation of the like, I'll do like primary, secondary logo, brand mark, color palette, typography, they can't put that together in their head to see what it would look like in real life. So that's why these mock-ups are so good. I've sent many a presentation off and like feedback's been like, oh, I want that phone case. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like that's all they've picked up from it at media is what it looks like.
The heart wants what the heart wants, you know.
Like, they're excited because they can be like, oh my God, that's what it'd look like if it was real. And I think that's where AI is really, really good for brand designers. It's never going to understand your target audience or you as a human from the beginning. It needs a lot of training. You need to know what you're saying. You need to know the prompts. You need to know what you're doing before you can do anything like that with it. So, as I said, it's not going to create brands, but it's great for like an assistant.
I don't really disagree with anything that you've just said there, which is really boring of me to say, because
No,
I'm sure there'd be some, but
yeah,
I think it's this idea of using it as an assistant, using it as like a design intern, using it as like not someone, but a thing to help optimize you. But I think what's really important that you just said there as well is that it can't understand. It can't possibly understand taste. It doesn't have like the ability to discern between like a mood and a feel and a vibe, even though they call it like vibe coding and vibe marketing and all this kind of stuff now. But you know, it can't generate emotion, can it? So it's like how can a brand be fully done through AI? I just don't. Maybe we just don't. Maybe I can't comprehend it, and maybe that's an issue. But
also, the other thing is that AI pulls from what it's been taught. So it's pulling all of, so say you type in, I'm a personal trainer, I'm targeting women, I need a logo. It's going to scour the internet and pull in all the female PTs who have logos online or whatever. They'll pull that in, it'll think about it, and it will spit out a replica. It's going to give you what it thinks is the most popular and what it thinks you will like, and it's not going to know anything. Like, for example, I've done a powerlifting brand and we had absolutely nothing to do with barbells or plates in it. Like, we went completely down the line of like the strength goddess and did an illustration like that, and we went down that line, whereas AI isn't going to do that. It's probably going to spit out a barbell.
Well, this is the other thing, isn't it? Like, it's about the input. And I think where what you've said there is really good there, because I think it highlights the point that you still need, and it kind of comes right back to the beginning of the conversation around creativity. You need that creative and strategic, you need creative strategy. You need to be able to understand like a creative brief. You need to be able to know how to brief, how to understand a brief, how to execute on a brief properly, and those kinds of things. So I think that's really interesting, because I think it's what AI doesn't seem to have, and it's actually one of those. I think it was marked as like one of the top 10 growing skills, and one of the top 10 core skills required for 2026 and beyond is creative thinking. Like, it's, that's where people like yourself are really going to be able to thrive, because some people don't have that creative thought, that creative mind to be able to, like you said, anybody might have gone to that barbell, that powerlifting thing, and just gone, okay, barbell, because that's
Yeah,
what we lift.
yeah,
But
exactly.
instead you've gone higher, you've gone more. Yeah, there's
Yeah, more into the
not many people.
soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like that's why the world is full of lotus flower logos for wellness, kettlebells for PT, scissors for hairdressers. That's why the world is full of them,
Yeah.
because that's people who have just kind of knocked it up, basically, what they think. And they think, I'm a hairdresser, it should be scissors. But it doesn't have to be literal. It doesn't have to be so literal. But that's just what some people think that's needed. But you can go deeper with it. It's so much more fun to create something that is unique to you. And the whole branding process is great fun. It's like, I would say it is one of the most fun parts of owning a business, because
Oh yeah.
everyone can see it being created. They're like, oh my God, like we've got an actual logo, and like they love putting it on their like clothes and like phone cases, office walls, like love it. Like it's the fun, really fun side of business, is creating something that's yours, that also your clients are going to love as well.
I love that.
So yeah, it is fun. It's sort of, yeah, fun
Love
process.
that. If people want to get in touch with you, Jade, and they want to join one of your brand camps, or they just want to speak to you about an idea that they have with relation to brand or design or anything like that, where can they find you?
So I have my website, which is jayceecreative.com. So it's JAYCEE creative.com. And then I am Jaycee_creative on Instagram, where my DMs are always open. So if anyone wants to ask me a question about branding or their business, feel free to just drop me a message in there. And then on my website and in my link will be a link to my 2026 waitlist, because when this goes out, 2025 will be booked because it's very close. So 2026 waitlist will be open at that
That's
point.
very, very confident of you to say that.
Well,
But
I have
yeah,
one left, so I think it will
that's
be.
amazing. I think we probably need a part two of this kind of conversation.
I mean, we
So
are very good anyway, don't we? So
yeah, I think there's so much more we can go into, and I think we definitely need a part two in it. I don't think we can really get into the nitty-gritty of creativity and brand design and reputation and all this kind of stuff. So I think what we'll probably do is we'll probably earmark a time for the very near future where we can do this again. So people watching or listening to this can expect to hear another brand and creative conversation. But Jade, for now, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. I think even though it was a shorter conversation, I think there's loads in there that people can take away from there. And yeah, best of luck with the Brandcamp 2026 waitlist. Yeah, no doubt it'll sell out for sure.
I've said it now. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
See you later.